speaking, with me Tarun Nangia. A pall of gloom descended over many homes in Delhi day before yesterday when we heard the unfortunate news of Justice Shantanu Gowda's passing away. Uh, as a judge of the Supreme Court, his age was only 62. It was more than about 3 years that he had before he could have, in a sense, retired and completed his full tenure. Unfortunately, we lost him to certain health issues. But I think the best way here on Legally Speaking to pay tribute to Justice Shantanu Gowda is by discussing his judgments. As they say famously, a judge is known by the judgments that he has delivered. And we would like, in our humble way, to pay a tribute to this personality by discussing his judgments. And I have a good panel to discuss this with me today. I have with me Senior Advocate Pramod Kumar Dubey. I have with me Advocate Gagan Kumar. He is custodian of Krishnomics Legal. I have with me Ardhendu Mauli Kumar Prasad. He is Secretary Supreme Court Bar Association. I have with me Advocate J. Sai Deepak. He's an advocate practicing at the Supreme Court and the Delhi High Court. I have with me Advocate Sameer Jain. He's the founder of PSL Advocates and Solicitors. I welcome all of you to the show today. I will request Senior Advocate Pramod Dubey to open the discussion, which is opening comment on this issue.
Tarun, the untimely death of Justice Sadananda Gowda is very unfortunate, very sad, and it's a big loss to the bar and bench. And the bar and bench, they all deprived from his judgment because he was already having 3 years to complete his tenure in the Supreme Court. And Tarun, Justice Sadananda Gowda was a strong voice in the apex court, was a remarkable judge, bold, erudite, and pragmatic. And in his 4 years, if you see his judgment and you see the chronology of the judgment, he authored so many key and the remarkable judgments. And the beauty of the entire his judgment is it touched the basic problem of the society which are facing, whether it's the Indore development case, or you go the Nari Niketan case, or the right of the under trial prisoners. So in Indore case, if you appreciate, when there were 3 judges bench and 2 judges were one side, and Justice Sadananda Gowda was the first person, the only judge who dissented with the judgment, and he made the recommendation for the reference to the larger bench. Ultimately, the court referred to the larger bench.
Is this a land acquisition matter that you are referring to?
Yes, of course, it's the land acquisition matter. And the most important judgment you will find is 167, because Justice Sadananda Gowda, while sitting with Justice Uday Lalit and Justice Vinit Saran, he passed the order that it is the right of the under trial prisoner to know that he has the right to be released on the default bail. So you have to inform the under trial prisoner now is 60 days or 90 days, or the statutory period has expired, and you have the right to move the application to be released on bail. This is the fundamental right. Even you take the farmers' problem, he passed the judgment, the farmers can sue the seed company under the Consumer Protection Act, or the Nari Niketan case judgment, he passed the order that the woman has the right to live with her lover. So if you see the entire judgment, he touched the basic point of the society. And he was very bold, never compromised. And if you see, interestingly, we have gone through one article today in the live law, and the tribute has been paid by his court clerks. It shows what kind of the human being he was. He was a good human being, caring, and he acted as the fatherly figure to his staff, the intern, always guided. And if you see his behavior in the court conduct is very important for judges. If you are holding a chair, it is very important how you are discharging your duty while sitting on that chair. You never find any kind of anger. He was very patient, minimal interjection in the argument. and the well-written judgment. What else is required? And every judgment has outcome, has the effect in the society. So we miss the judge. And Tarun, you use any positive adjective that exists, which is less than what should be there to describe him. You are such a good human being. It's a big loss to the judicial system.
Point taken. Very well, in a sense, explained his legacy as well as his judgments. Also, interesting point you made about his behavior and the article by his court clerks. It is something that, in a sense, even I'll look up to. I
would like to add one thing, Tarun. Being the first generation lawyer, I always look up to him, his discipline, his command over the knowledge of the law. So this is very important for the judicial system.
Okay.
And he was caring.
Okay. Okay. Point taken. I'll go to Mr. Gagan Kumar. He's custodian of Krishnomics Legal. What would you like to say about Justice Shantanu Gaudar and his judgments?
Thanks, Tarun. At the outset, I would take this opportunity to express my deepest condolences to the family of Justice Shantanu Gaudar, as well as to the colleagues who have lost any family member during this period. As they say, the best homage to any departed soul is to remember those moments and deeds which remind you of the personality that person had. With the loss of Justice Mohan Shantanu Gaudar, we are denuded of a bright mind. A stable society is built on the notion of fairness and justice, and it is left to the judges. And Justice Shantanu Gaudar had a legacy of unfettered fairness. Justice Shantanu Gaudar, during his tenure at the Apex Court, authored several judgments. However, considering my area of practice, I have followed his judgments mostly on the fiscal law. And as it is said that judges do not lay down the law, they only interpret it. So in that manner, judges can be said to be priests rather than a judicial prophet. So I will refer only two of his judgments, which are not so fabled, yet very pertinent in the precedential value. I'll seek your pardon for the inexecutive, as considering the paucity of time and do not bore the audience. I'm putting facts and background in very brief manner. The first judgment which I wish to talk about is SFIO versus Nitin Johri. That's the famous Bhushan Steel matter. In this case, what had happened is that the Honorable High Court appeared to have granted bail for an offense relating to fraud under the Companies Act. The court seemed to have granted the bail on the ground that the accused had challenged the constitutional validity of Section 212, subsection 6, 7, and 8. The case of the accused had been put on the ground that the language of Section 212 was identical to Section 45 of the PMLA, which had already been declared unconstitutional in the celebrated case of Nikesh Tarachand Shah. The Honorable High Court granted the bail, which was challenged before the Supreme Court. Now, the matter came before Justice Shantanu Gaudar, and while delivering his judgment, he emphasized that as far as the bail under Section 439 of CRPC is concerned, the broad contour, that is, whether the accused is cooperating in investigation, whether he is likely to temper evidence or influence witness, those had to be tested. The reason that the constitutional validity of Section 212 of the Companies Act was still pending before the court was not to be taken into consideration. What also Justice Shantanu Gaudar observed is that while granting the bail, the High Court noted that this was based on the broad probabilities. So such an observation was taken offense by the Supreme Court, and it was said that it demonstrates non-application of mind on the part of the court. Now, yet respecting the judicial propriety, the Honorable Judge sent the matter back to the High Court with the direction that please decide the bail application based on the principles of Section 439. Why I mentioned this is essentially to highlight the nuances. And I said in the beginning that judges only interpret the law. So they do not lay down the law. And the other fiscal law related issue is the IDBI Bank versus official liquidator. Here also he emphasized the need to interpret and need to adhere to the rules. So the question herein was Rule 101 of the winding up rules. And although the promoter had settled the dues and court therefore dismissed the winding up petition, the honorable judge said that no, that's not done. You have to make an advertisement, which was mandatory. And if the creditor was not keen on doing so, the company court was duty bound to do so. Secondly, the another argument which was there in that matter was that the transaction which IDBI Bank had entered into with the company, borrower company, was based on agreement to sell. And it was argued that since it happened within just a period before the winding up proceeding, therefore it ought to be declared as wrong, and which the court held that no, it would not be. Anyways, to cut the long story short, the importance of procedure was highlighted. And as I said in the beginning, it's the interpretation which he emphasized on, rather than professing on any principle.
Point taken, and thanks for sharing this judgment as well as your own view on it. I'll go across to Samir Jain, founder of PSL Advocates and Solicitors. Samir, your tribute for Justice Shantanu Gowda, as well as any judgment that you would like to cite.
Tarun, it is indeed sad that we have lost one of the pioneers of the Indian judicial system, and one judge who always sat on the bench with an open mind. And I was fortunate enough to appear before him in the High Court as well as in the Supreme Court when I was a fairly young counsel. Amazing judge in the sense that he would sit with zero prejudices on the bench, would always promote junior counsels, would always promote new counsels. In fact, the note which has come in Bar and Bench today is a testimony to that. Each and every law clerk of his has stated that all he said to them on the first day was, consider me as your father. And what is important is that you enjoy what you do and everything else can wait. That's kind of the essence of his justice delivery system as well. One of the couple of judgments that really felt touched and thought that he's really brought out the essence was one in the Supreme Court where he said that the magistrates, the trial court judges, and all of us who practice in trial courts face this issue sometimes. And he said that they are the protector of constitutional rights of a citizen as much as the constitutional court. There is no difference. And he goes on to cite an example that if a magistrate is faced with a complaint, he has to take cognizance. He needs to apply his mind and see that whether a case is made out and a personal life and liberty of a person is in fact ought to be hampered by way of an arrest or not. Not only Supreme Court, Tarun, even in the High Court when he was sitting in the High Court of Karnataka, he delivered a couple of great judgments. One of which was when he said that a party's right to change his lawyer and a change his advocate is absolute. You don't need a no objection certificate from your previous lawyer in case you want to change him and get a new lawyer. Now that in my view is a judgment which clarifies the position and also prevents a lot of exploitation which appears to be happening when lawyers refuse to give NOCs and say, okay, you clear XYZ amount of my bill and only then I will go. So that kind of really clears the air. Also, one of the judgments where he said that I'm not giving the names of the judgment because that I don't think is really important, but the essence of them. One of the judgment he said when from a conviction there's a simultaneous appeal by the accused for reduction or acquittal and by the state for enhancement, you cannot hear one and not hear the other. So he said you cannot decide the enhancement appeal by the state without hearing and disposing of the appeal for acquittal which the accused has made. It just balances the equities in favor of both the state and the accused. Very progressive judge. It Supreme Court and the whole legal fraternity really would have benefited had my lord would have completed his balanced tenure in the Supreme Court.
Point taken, and thanks for sharing so well the essence of his judgments. Samir, I'll go to Advocate J. Sai Deepak. He practices at the Supreme Court and the Delhi High Court. Sai, how would you pay a tribute to him through his judgments?
So I have had the opportunity of appearing before Justice Mohan Shantanu Gaudar on more than a couple of occasions, and I completely share Mr. Samir Jain's point of view. There is a junior counsel sometimes in the Supreme Court. You wonder whether the lack of the silk would make a difference to the seriousness with which you're taken by the bench. But before Justice Mohan Shantanu Gaudar, I don't think that has ever made a difference. And he's always been indulgent, and he's always been patient. And that, according to me, puts a lot of, let's say, apprehensions to rest and gives confidence to young counsels that the Supreme Court, notwithstanding the fact that it's the Supreme Court, is perhaps is capable of being a patient forum. And that, I think, is a message that needs to go loud and clear in these times. Second, through his judgments, I think I have just two judgments to specifically refer to. One is, of course, the land acquisition judgment that Mr. Pramod Kumar Dubey already mentioned. And the reason why that particular judgment is very, very important is the fact that judicial discipline and judicial comity between coordinate benches is something that the Supreme Court had to reinforce and had to come through a dissenting opinion, so to speak. While that may be a comment on the institution today, I think reflects the fact that there are still people who value and respect judicial discipline. And as someone who practices also before the Delhi High Court, I think this dissenting opinion was let's say, of value from the standpoint of posterity. The other judgment that I would certainly refer to, in which showcases not only his humane side, but also his ability to creatively interpret his statute without doing injustice to the language of the statute, would be the Seeds case, where he effectively held that a farmer is a consumer within the meaning of the Consumer Protection Act for the purposes of filing the complaint, assuming that he is not satisfied with the services of the products he has purchased from a seed company. I think these two judgments certainly reflect his respect for judicial discipline, as well as the ability to operate creatively, staying within the bounds of the law. I was hoping to actually appear before him in the 9-judge bench proceedings for the Sabarimala matter, because he was one of the benches who was supposed to hear the matter. And I was hoping to actually have the privilege of arguing before him on the matter of constitutional import and civilization import. Unfortunately, now I think that will remain a wish forever. I convey my sincere condolences to the family for this meeting. Along with paying my respects to Justice Shantanu Gaudar, I think it's important to highlight that we've also lost quite a few senior counsels of the Supreme Court, such as Shri V. Shekhar. And I think it's a terrible loss. And as a community, I hope we come together and support each other, because I think that counsels at the mid-level and at the top level perhaps are doing well by the grace of gods and, let's say, divinity, so to speak. But there are quite a few young counsels and young practitioners who need support at this time. So let's hope that we all come together and support each other as a fraternity.
Thank you, Sai, and especially the Seeds case, which you mentioned, indeed was one of the judgments that a lot of people would go back to and also remember about him. I'll go to Ardhendu Mauli Kumar Prasad, Secretary, Supreme Court Bar Association. Ardhendu Mauli, your tribute for Justice Shantanu Gaudar, as well as your observations on his judgments.
Thanks, Tarun. We were all shocked when we came to know about his untimely death. In fact, as Sai rightly said, we have lost not many lawyers also in these times, and Justice Shantanu Gaudar's death has been really very, very painful for all of us. As far as the judgments are concerned, I think there are 3 judgments which are really very, very effective and would actually concern most of the members of the bar. The first one would be that when an accused which is unrepresented before a court, then Justice Shantanu Gaudar has said that the court has to appoint an amicus or to refer the matter to the Legal Services Committee, requesting it to appoint an advocate. It is for the purposes of seeing and evoking the concerns of the personal liberty of that person who has been held as an accused in a case. That case was Sheikh Mukhtar versus the state of Andhra Pradesh. The other very, very interesting matter was wherein he said that we normally give the, in the hotels, we give the cars to the valet parking and they say we are least concerned about it. So he passed an order wherein he says that in case of theft of the vehicle given for valet parking, the hotel cannot claim exemption from liability by contending that it was due to act of third parties beyond his control, or that they are protected by an owner's risk clause. So this was another judgment which normally, if you go to any of the hotels, you see they say valet parking at your own risk. So he clarified that in the Taj Mahal Hotel versus the United India Insurance Company matter. The third very interesting matter which he did, which was very, very humane on his part, was the Leelavati Medical Trust versus the Unique Shanti Developer, wherein he held that the provisions of hostel facilities to the nurses so as to facilitate better mental care is a positive duty enjoined upon the hospitals. The court had also made observations regarding the importance of nurses and the duty of hospitals to provide them hostel facilities. See, Justice Shantanu Gowder had a lot many judgments. He had referred, there were 3 references also by him to the larger bench. First being that whether the reservation claims for public posts can be considered after the cutoff date or submission of community certificates. The other one, as Pramod Dubey sir has rightly said, that whether the section 340 of the CRPC, which mandates a preliminary inquiry and an opportunity of hearing to the would-be accused before a complaint is made under section 195 of the code by court. And the third being that can death of a complainant without giving evidence can be fatal to the prosecution under the Prevention of Corruption Act. So these judgments, his judgments, as you rightly said, that the judgment shows about the judge, and it shows that he was rooted for diversity, inclusivity, that he encouraged rationality and critical thinking. And I think he was someone who strongly advocated for preserving the rich diversity of the country. And his loss has been really, really very bad for, as Sai rightly said, for the younger members of the bar. He was very. My heartfelt condolences to the family of Justice Shantanu Gowder.
Thank you so much, Anzendu Mauli, for in fact sharing these 3 judgments as well as your tributes. Very briefly, I'd like to request Sai to explain the seed case, because that was pretty interesting. The farmers' rights against the seed companies. Farm is a very big issue in India. What was it about? Can you explain very briefly?
See, this was the case of Nandan Biometrics. And in this particular judgment, the question was whether a farmer would fall within the definition of a consumer and whether he would have access to rights under the Consumer Protection Act to approach against, let's say, a deficient seed that has been supplied to him by a seed company. That is the broad conspectus of the case, and that's the sum and substance of the particular case. So typically, we have never seen farmers approaching the consumer forum for the purposes of redressal with respect to any commodity that they may have purchased from a seed company. It's interesting that this particular judgment comes perhaps after years of experience of our cotton farmers committing suicides after having purchased, let's say, a certain quality of seeds from a certain company. Let me not name the entity. But I think perhaps this played a certain role in the outcome. But what surprises me is that such an interpretation, which perhaps should have come perhaps earlier, has come for the very first time from Justice Mohan Shantanu Gowder, which shows that he was uniquely positioned to couple, or let's say put together, social issues with a fair amount of creative statutory interpretation without necessarily entering the realm of judicial activism. Okay, and I don't use that term here in a positive sense. I merely say that staying within the bounds of the law and without necessarily creating the law, he chose interpretation as a route to do justice to existing situations. So which is why this particular judgment is extremely interesting as let's say a student of law, notwithstanding the fact that I've been a practitioner for over a decade, because that tells me that it is possible for the judiciary to stay within the 4 corners of the black letter of the law and still do justice to, let's say, certain injuries and certain harms that are caused without necessarily transgressing those limits. So that beautiful balance, that sweet spot, the judicial sweet spot, is something that I would say Justice Mohan Shantanu Gowder effectively epitomized. And there is a tendency sometimes to hold forth, well, let's say, because people watch and there's an element of theatricality that is involved in, let's say, court proceedings. But the ability to subtly underplay oneself and stick to the mandate that has been given to oneself, and without necessarily grandstanding on a particular issue and still getting the job done. This, I think, is extremely important, because it's easy to get carried away with the position, with the media glare on that particular institution, so on and so forth. But to remain committed to that particular position and to do justice to it and still get, let's say, justice done, I think is a huge, huge task, because that effectively shows that one is able to put the job over oneself and the mandate and the duty that comes with it over oneself. That's a huge indication of the humble person that he ultimately was. The humility with which he conducted himself and the manner in which he dealt with senior counsels and the kind of justice he was capable of doing to sensitive matters such as these. All these things, according to me, come together when you read this particular judgment.
Thanks for explaining this. I'll go across to Senior Advocate Pramod Dubey. Now, Advocate Gagan Kumar just mentioned about the Bhushan Steel case. If I'm not wrong, you appeared in that matter once?
I appeared for one of the co-accused person, Mr.
Okay.
Ilyas Singhal, so I'm little bit aware of the proceeding
Okay.
of the SFIO matter.
Okay.
The,
Oh, that's how. Okay. Because when Mr. Gagan Kumar referred, I remembered that you had appeared for one of...
the matter is still pending before the Supreme Court, and it
Okay.
came for the hearing in the bench matter. And unfortunately, this pandemic, it got adjourned. So this
Okay.
matter is still pending, and the gentleman is still in custody, Nitin Jawhari.
Okay. Mr. Gagan Kumar, anything further that you would like to comment on Justice Shantanu Gowda?
I would say that the way I had been following his judgments, the lucid manner the judgments were written, the judgments were all encompassing in itself. So even if someone is not having any background of the facts or not aware of the relevant laws, the way judgments were written, if you read from para 1 to the last para, you would appreciate the whole issue involved in the matter, law revolving around it, judicial precedents revolving around it, and the manner in which, on the reason basis on which the honorable judge delivered his judgment. So I would again say that we have lost a brilliant mind.
Okay. Samir, I would request you to close this show with a comment. You talked about Justice Shantanu Gowda encouraging young counsels. Now, we all have seen enough days at the bar when some judges at the bench snap at young lawyers, many times crushing their confidence. Many times clients are standing around and they also get affected. In such times, when you have judges like Justice Shantanu Gowda encouraging young lawyers, how much of a boost that is to a young lawyer?
Fairly a good boost, Tarun. While and it's important that young counsels are encouraged. However, I must exercise caution when I say that that is the only right way. It's a slap on the wrist is also important. To be kind of crushed is also important as a lawyer, because that was frames you. So, but having said that, once you are crushed, it's always important to go before a judge who encourages you and say, "No, Mr. Counsel, I don't want to hear your senior. You please argue the matter." You know, and that is something which as Sai said, the judicial sweet spot. It's the sweet spot in the court for a young counsel which needs to be maintained, and he absolutely and brilliantly did that, and that is something which will dearly be missed.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank Samir Jain, Ardhendu Mauli Kumar Prasad, Secretary, Supreme Court Bar Association, Advocate J. Sai Deepak, practicing at the Supreme Court and Delhi High Court, Advocate Gagan Kumar, Custodian Krishnavics Legal, Senior Advocate Pramod Kumar Dubey. You all took out time for this very important show, an important tribute to Justice Shantanu Gowda, who we have all unfortunately lost. We did, in our own way, try to do justice by paying a tribute to him through his judgments. I am sure the viewers will find this useful and like it. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.